How can you win with Russian interference, though?
That's
what
real
I'm
thing.
scared about in 2020.
But rightly.
Because I think he's an illegitimate president that didn't really win.
Russia did interfere in the election of the President of the United States in 2016. Listen to what Christopher Wray has told us, who is the current head of the FBI, that 2020, we all should have good reason to know, might be worse than 2016.
So picking up where we left off on that documentary that was supposed to make you feel like the Russians were going to steal the election in Trump's favor. Typically, I would let you watch the clip and then explain it after, but the clip is kind of boring. So I'm going to preface it and tell you what's in the clip so we can kind of skip to the next part. What happens in the clip is he hacks the Diebold memory card.
What we're going to do here is modify one card.
Now, this is the only piece of Diebold equipment that you've used. That's correct.
They put in their votes manually.
2 individuals will be voting yes. The rest of us will be voting no. And then we'll scrutinize the ballots afterwards to ensure that that is indeed the mark.
But because of this chip, it flips the votes.
Oh, my.
Oh my gosh, do you know what this means?
Basically, they hack the vote and show that it can be switched. That documentary comes out. Diebold, the company, comes out and tries to slander the documentary, slander the guy who did the hacking. Sounds really familiar.
The first reaction was to shoot the messenger, to try to use any legal means possible to cause a chilling effect. And there was a huge amount of resources used just to stop the communications, just to stop people discovering the vulnerabilities. There was a huge amount of lobbying, advertising, marketing to assure customers everything is fine when it was not.
After 2 years of bad publicity, they sell the company to who? Dominion. This documentary was supposed to tell you that Dominion wasn't safe.
In 2014, we evaluated Dominion's democracy suite. We'd found a number of vulnerabilities. The same thing that with ES&S, we found multiple operating system patches missing. And essentially what that means is an attacker can inject code into that system, execute that with the possibility of receiving some sort of control. How can a vendor sell a voting system with this many vulnerabilities? And I can't find a straight answer.
Until that became a right-wing talking point. And once it became a right-wing talking point, then it
was the most secure in U.S. history.
Now it makes perfect sense why Dominion sued Fox and Sidney Powell, when before, HBO was literally trying to say the same exact thing. No one ever saw this documentary. They had to sweep it under the rug. Once the election security thing became a right-wing narrative, then they have to polarize it and make the opposite be the extreme. There's no widespread voter fraud. These are the safest elections, when you were just trying to tell us that the Russians interfered with the election. Government officials, real leaders with a platform, believe that Trump only won because of Russian interference.
I don't see this president-elect as a legitimate president.
Why is that?
I think the Russians participated in helping this man get elected.
That's going to send a big message to a lot of people in this country that you don't believe he's a legitimate president.
And they were able to say this on all the platforms. Meanwhile,
I've already decisively won many critical states, including massive victories in Florida, Iowa, Indiana, Ohio.
Okay, here we are again in the unusual position of not only interrupting the President of the United States, but correcting the President of the United States.
We want every legal vote to be counted, and we want every illegal vote to be...
I just think we have to be very clear. She's charging, the other side is welcoming fraud and welcoming illegal voting. Unless she has more details to back that up, I can't in good countenance continue showing you this. But that's an explosive charge to make, that the other side is effectively rigging and cheating.
Trump knows he's an illegitimate president who got illegitimate foreign help.
They were literally cutting them off live. The president and his press secretary, they were literally cutting them off. Before the Mueller report or the Russian interference report even came out, they were able to talk about it on the media. That Russian report, that went on for 3 years of his presidency.
The FBI does a 10-month investigation. James Comey, when we deposed him a year ago, told us at that point they had nothing. You do a 22-month investigation. At the end of that 22 months, you find no conspiracy. And what's the Democrats want to do? They want to keep investigating.
So that means for 3 years, you basically peddled a conspiracy theory about the elections being stolen with Russian interference.
And you can have the election stolen from you.
Remember, there was a big controversy around the elections pertaining to Atlanta.
Georgia is buying new election machines for the whole state to replace the AccuVote voting machines that we know are insecure. And they are replacing them with another set of machines that are also insecure because they use barcodes, and barcodes can be hacked.
The model that is their favorite choice right now is the Dominion image cast. The voter enters their vote, and what is spit out is a paper ballot, and their votes are encoded as barcodes. The vote itself is in that barcode. No humans I know can read barcode very well. Putting a computer between a voter and his ballot is going to make sure that you don't have an auditable, reliable election.
They are creating a paper trail that in fact can't actually be audited.
That's what the liberal media wanted you to feel all the way up until April, when Trump began to say the election is going to be stolen. Then Trump starts to say it, and the guy from My Pillow, it's all of a sudden the most taboo thing in the world. And now they ask J.D. Vance or anyone who supports Trump, the first question that they want to ask them is,
did Donald Trump lose the 2020 election?
Which one is it?
They continue to think that our voting machines are too vulnerable.
For researchers have repeatedly demonstrated that ballot recording machines and other voting systems are susceptible to tampering.
Even hackers with limited prior knowledge, tools, and resources are able to breach voting machines in a matter of minutes.
In 2018, electronic voting machines in Georgia and Texas deleted votes for certain candidates or switched votes from one candidate to another.
The biggest seller of voting machines is doing something that violates Cybersecurity 101.
Or is it
the most secure in U.S. history?
Even though you haven't done anything to the machines. So if you didn't change anything from the time that they did their hacking expo.
I actually held a demonstration for my colleagues here at the Capitol where we brought in folks who, before our eyes, hacked election machines, those that are being used in many states.
Then how is this
the most secure in U.S. history?
Thank y'all for watching. Whatever you want to say, leave it in the comments. All opinions are welcome. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace.